One agent fails, Novak nails. Here is a great tale of someone buying a property that no one else sort of wanted, doubled, tripled, quadrupled their amount invested in a 4-year period. Stay tuned. We're going to tell you the story now.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Josh Wapshott.
Mark Novak, I'm coming to you live this morning, live from
Oh,
Pitwater Road, DY.
Hey, Josh, it just occurred to me, if these guys bought the property for $1 million, million and 50, and 4 years later they sold it for 2.5, they probably only put in a 30% deposit, because on commercial, that's all you sort of got to put in. So return on the internal rate of return, or return on equity, is like 7.
I know, and that's why we've come down here this morning, Mark, because I think it takes a little bit of singing from the hills to start to funnel out the opportunities that are coming up available on the northern beaches, and how commercial real estate is something that can give you some sorts of returns you never thought possible. And it's definitely a great way to start thinking of diversifying your investments. So yeah, thought we'd come down here this morning and show everyone what they're missing out on.
Wow. So, what's the address? Everyone can
The
Google
address
this
is
address.
882 Pitwater Road, DY. If I give you a little look this morning, you'll be very familiar about where we are. So here we've got your DY Pitwater Road, and that's your
Yep.
main bus stop. I'm sure everyone knows and catches the bus who jumps on the B1. So
Yep.
we're smack bang right in the middle of it, which is absolutely a fantastic spot, because I just find that especially your rental market in terms of an investment in the DY area, you can't get better, because you've got obviously the new addition of our lighthouse, you've got the B line, the only real direct transport into the city. So there's a lot of those facilities and infrastructure for renters, for young families, for young professionals. It's a perfect sort of playground, so to speak, for young people, making that step out on their own.
Now, Josh, you can't help but to feel sorry for this shop.
Sorry, what was that, Mark?
You can't help but feel sorry for this little puppy. So
I know. I really couldn't.
see the building on the left and the building on the right. There's a little white building in the middle. Just over 200 meters squared of land. Doesn't have a driveway. Can never get a driveway. Doesn't have a rear door. Can never have a rear door. It's got a building, a 9-story building to the left, an 8-story building to the right, an 8-story building behind it, and a major Northern Beaches bus stop in front of it. This thing is cliche, classic, landlocked.
Exactly right, Mark. And I think because we originally, obviously, this was sold with two options. One being a completed product from the vendor, being those 3 retail and 20 studio apartments. But as I'm just taking you through, just showing you exactly what Mark's talking about by being what we call boxed in. You see
I feel like you're
here,
taking me to the toilet.
we're boundary to boundary. So yes,
So what's at
it
the
is
back there?
quite.
That's like, can you open that door?
Yeah, I can actually.
So it's like, if in terms of development potential, it's a shocker.
Well, it's not. It's definitely not one of your your easier projects, Mark. Obviously, because you're on a extremely busy road, and like you said, quite boxed in. I mean, to give you an example, that's about the only space you've got between your neighbouring addresses there.
Show me how high you go next door. Can't really see, but
You can't
like
really
it's
see,
literally, it's massive. It's a tower. It's a 9-story tower next door with no windows.
Exactly right. And I think it's just that sort of product obviously doesn't fit the bill everywhere. But I think for somewhere like DY, my happy purchasers are going to be more than happy and find it quite easy with the help of Novak in regards to keeping those studios full. So I believe what their plans are is they're going to probably arrange a short-term tenant for the meantime, and then obviously look to start to build.
Josh, before we jump forward, a seller, our client saw this 5 years ago at auction and bought it for $1,050,000. Nobody wanted to buy it because it was a little block of land and it was locked in. Fast forward 4 years later, we come along, you sell it for $2.5 million. So it went from $1,050,000 to 2.5, so almost $1.5 million more. How, like, first of all, who bought it and how the hell does that happen?
Exactly right. So we've had an investor purchase this property, and obviously when we explain that the type of yields that this sort of asset would generate, I think that was the kicker. I think we were estimating somewhere between just over 700,000 in rental at a fully occupied rate. And the other option that this property had, and I'm not sure if everyone knew, is they actually had a facility to put 10% down, and this was for a completed product, so like an off-the-plan opportunity, where what they did was, say, for example, the finished product would be $11.5 million. You'd put $1.5 million down, and then you would obviously pay the rest on completion of the build. So, I mean, having a facility like that as well is not something that you come around often. So
Sorry,
I think
I'm confused, sir. Can you explain that again?
well, essentially what the vendor was
the
happy
DA
to
for?
Pardon? Yeah, correct. So the DA is for those 21 studio apartments, which are the high rise up. So you'd split them. You'd probably have a bunch of 4 in between each level. And what the vendor was happy to do here was actually deliver a finished product.
Hang on a sec. How did you get 21 units on a 300 meters on a 250 meter square block?
Well, that's right.
How did the vendor get that approved with no parking, with no driveway, and with no setback side or back? How many?
21.
That's
And it's
nuts.
yeah, and that's and it's what we call a boarding house, which obviously, Mark, you're quite privy to, because we do know Novak does look after probably one of the biggest allotments of boarding houses. Is that correct?
You look after hundreds of them.
Yeah, and they do very well. So I think it was tailing that experience, understanding the asset and what it can deliver you. Not everything's going to be straightforward, so it's about just breaking it down for the purchaser, and that's the discussions we had. I think we had a visit here over the Christmas break. I didn't take any time off, and we were here probably 3 days over the week. I think it was Christmas Eve at one stage we were down here, and once we broke down the figures and what we could create here, I think it was a no-brainer for the purchaser in the end. So, yeah.
So the purchaser's going to build what's been DA approved.
Correct.
And they're going to be in it, and they're going to, what sort of rent are they going to get per year once they rent out all those apartments?
Where you'd look at it roughly based on the figures that we put of comparables on the market, you were looking at over $700,000. I think it was a 740 to give you an exact figure. But yeah, you think
on
about
that little block.
Exactly right. it's a little money-making machine. All it needs is that person that's ready to take the leap, and trying and doing something or things outside the box sometimes can deliver these amazing results for you. I mean, you think of that sort of cash being generated year on year. You're not, I think in terms of maintenance of such, there's studios, they're one betters, you're not selling anything high end. I think it's the idea of quantity and I think DY is just the perfect fit, which is why I was surprised that it didn't sell sooner.
So, guys, if you've just tuned in, we're talking about the story of 882A Pitwater Road. You can Google it now and have a look. This property was a little block of land with no driveway, no rear access, 9 stories to the left, 9 stories to the right, 202 to 200 to 300 metres squared. A client of ours bought it at auction for $1,050,000 4 years ago. They got DA approved 21 apartments and have now sold the land for 2.5 with the approval. So they've more than doubled their money. The new person that's purchased it, New Year's Eve sale by champion Josh, is going to build these 21 and rent it for over $700,000 a year. Everyone's a winner.
Exactly right. And I think bringing the audience down here this morning gives us a chance to show others that might not even think of these possibilities and what's out there. I mean, I just think there's a massive potential to be unlocked with commercial. And I think what people get stuck around is just looking at things too straightforward when it comes to commercial. And I say this with like our bigger warehouse industrial units. You need to think outside the box now to really unlock the true yields of these assets. I mean, anything in the Northern Beaches is going to do fantastically. We just had, funnily enough, Domain come through and speak about a lot of figures and things like that and how we're quite resilient. So I think in terms of your property values, you're always going to go quite, you can't beat Sydney, you can't beat the Northern Beaches. But starting those assets to produce favourable yields for yourself is what's going to be the real difference. So I just stress thinking outside the box when it comes to commercial, whether it be divvying up your spaces, investing $1 million in something like this as per se, a unit. That sort of growth you would have seen over the 4 years. I mean, if you're buying 4 years ago, you're probably buying into a peak market almost, that 2021 stage. If anything, you're probably just recovering those prices at where we are now, whereas this individual's gone ahead and more than 2 times his money. And then forget about what sort of capital he's put down. Keep it simple. He's more than doubled his money, guys. And as an idea, this generally happens in residential every 10 years. So he's also
normally
more than
10
double
years. Yeah.
To give you guys an understanding of how well this did. So I mean, it's beating. Yeah, that's why I thought, wow, I didn't think it would take so long to move on. But obviously, once it was explained properly and we had the right purchasers come past, they said, fantastic, love your work, Josh. This is a great little asset for us, and would love for you to help us once it's completed in offering this to the public. So I look forward to, obviously, once they start building that, locals start using the space. And I mean, it is so convenient with your beeline.
I think also, Josh, there's a couple of pillars here that people can take away. My biggest one I think people can take away is if you see something that is good and you feel good about it, but sometimes the noise around you is no, 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 no. Sometimes go with your gut, because I can see this vendor here. A lot of bad noise around the property. Block's too small. Can't build on it. No driveway. But he saw what definitely he could do, and he went with it. So I think if your gut sometimes is really strong on something, you can see someone here who's done really, really well from this. But that's all we've got to say for today. Anything else you got to add?
No, nothing else I've got to add. Just like I said, guys, we're having a really good turnaround since late last year on the commercial properties. So I just think open up your eyes to diversifying your options. If there's a spot to be for commercial property, it really is in and around the northern beaches. There's a really good demand for it, and there's some amazing and different types of uses that can generate businesses and cash cows, just like this one here. I think Lisa's caught on to the fact too, but yeah, fantastic opportunity, and we'll be making these more live. So I'll be doing a few little run-throughs, a couple of properties that I think are quite interesting. So tune in every Wednesday, guys, and I'll give you a on-the-ground look at a couple of opportunities we'll have running.
Tune in every day on your socials. You got some cracker properties on there. Josh Wapshott.
Exactly right.
Stuff.
Exactly right.
See you, mate.
See you, mate. See you guys.
Take care.